in this week's episode of Tipping the Scales.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Lennox.
And I'm Joe Tumanero.
And this is Tipping the Scales, a podcast where we will argue about anything and everything, but mostly just nonsense. The first topic holds a special hatred in my heart. Meatloaf.
How I think we should begin this is obviously most people might know what meatloaf is, but I think we would do well with just a basic definition, which is a dish of ground meat seasoned and baked in the form of a loaf.
That was a little bit of a subjective definition of meatloaf. My definition of meatloaf is a hard, brick-like substance of meat that shouldn't be in there with just an assortment of condiments, some breadcrumbs, disgusting, and then why not throw ketchup on it? Because it's like polishing a turd, really.
Right. It's not hard. I mean, sure, if you get meatloaf from the trash out of like a dumpster at Walmart, yeah, it'll be hard then. But
all meatloaf is trash out of the dumpster at Walmart.
No. When you have it, when it just comes out of the oven, you put it on your counter and it's just steam is rolling off of it, and then you just take a couple of slices of that, and you dip it in some ketchup, and it's fantastic.
Why fashion meat after bread? What possibly is the point of grinding meat up and then forcing it back together? Are we God? Is everyone a God now? Are we playing God just making a meatloaf every day? You're basically blaspheming every time you make a meatloaf.
I don't know that your actual problem here is with meatloaf. It seems like it might be that you actually have a problem with ground beef as a whole.
I don't have as much of a problem with ground beef. That was more to add to the argument of why meatloaf as a whole is an unholy dish, disgusting in every way imaginable, no matter who cooks it. If Gordon Ramsay is cooking it, I'm not going to want to eat the meatloaf that he is making. I don't care if it's the best meatloaf imaginable, because guess what? The best meatloaf imaginable is still like the lowest form of food.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
There are much lower forms of food than meatloaf. Meatloaf is more like just another dish that, a family could gather around a table and eat some meatloaf. Some potatoes, maybe. And of course,
yeah, and then they worship Satan with their prayers. Who decided? We have bread. Loaved bread. Bread loaf. What else can I make that's loaved? Meatloaf.
So I'm going to go ahead and just make a blanket statement about your palate. And I think that is you would not enjoy any Germanic type foods. Which this is. Meatloaf is traditionally a Germanic food. That's where this was developed.
But
yes, their food
but weren't Germans weren't they originally Germanic barbarians?
Yeah.
Didn't they attack Anglo-Saxons or something like that?
Perhaps.
So
far back.
Your argument for meatloaf being good is that barbarians made it?
Well, okay. If we're gonna go down that road, I enjoy mead, for example, and that I think is a drink that's Vikings probably drank some mead, right? Scandinavian mead. There you go. So some very not good characters in history may have developed or practiced mead making, right? But that has nothing to do with actually how good it is. I mean, I just had some the other day. It's still good. Doesn't matter who had it. What kind of villainous characters had it. 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't mean that all Germans are terrible people. It means that meatloaf was the worst thing that they could have brought to this planet. Can I stop for a second?
Yeah.
I'm going to correct something. Second worst thing behind Hitler. Go ahead and continue. Now I'm not sure if the correction was accurate. I feel like Hitler and meatloaf are on the same level, but...
No. Then let me pose this to you. You have three options. Okay. You can end sexism You can end
Okay,
racism, or you could end Meatloaf. But
Okay,
you only
so-
get to pick one. And
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you're saying the choices are ending sexism, ending racism, or ending Meatloaf?
Correct.
Meatloaf 100%. I would definitely end that over racism, sexism. I can deal with that. I can deal with all of that. Meatloaf, I cannot deal with.